the wing tee or you play something most people don't play, it's really hard to prepare for that.
All right, well,
But has that ever
I love
worked?
this idea.
You like? Has
I
can't think of a time where it works.
It hasn't been done. It doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. Wow. You've got two guys that have been successful at different things and have created problems for defenses in different ways, and now you've got the opportunity to play them both and create those problems for your opponent. Just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean it shouldn't be done.
No, and the Steelers were sort of unconventional with Cordell Stewart and made that whole system work.
Was really effective, and they're in a situation where they don't have one guy that's necessarily standing out and jumping out. Use the strengths of both guys.
Wow.
Use the value of both players and let them contribute.
Okay, I don't know if you told me this or someone else, but usually when I have a smart football saying, it's usually you told me at some point, that kickers and quarterbacks are sensitive and fragile. Is that you?
No.
Shoot. Well, a wise football person.
There is the saying, if you got two quarterbacks, you don't have one.
Don't you think you're like kind of messing with the guys? Like, suppose we run your plan.
Yep.
Russ goes in, nothing's really going on. All right, let's put Justin in. Justin goes in, starts cooking. All right, well, your package was only, 3 plays. Russ going back in. Steelers fan, we want Justin.
I'm not saying a package of 3 plays. I'm saying you have your Russ playbook and you've got your Justin Fields playbook, and like you have with a backup quarterback and a starting quarterback. The backup quarterback doesn't always run the same plays as the starting quarterback.
So let me play out wild.
But the players are able to run the plays that they do. But you go in, you get quarterback-driven runs, you get a mobile quarterback, you get explosive downfield passing, and you come in and you've got a different package for Russ and now defensive, like who's in?
See,
I get the defensive part.
He loves wasting defensive coordinators valuable time.
And I think that makes sense.
I love wasting defensive
Yeah, no, in a good way.
But let's say, to play off Wilds, what he was saying. Let's say Russ starts, first 2 series, nothing's happening. You put in Fields, they score a touchdown. So you keep him in, and let's say he has a good game. You don't think that next week the clamor is going to be
but Tomlin would be good. But Tomlin would be good.
But I'm not.
Tomlin can handle it, obviously.
I think you're viewing it as reactionary, like you're just putting him in as the number 2 guy, and he gets 2 or 3 plays, and then he hits it, and you keep him in, and then everybody's mad. I'm saying no. This is the norm. Just like you have different backs. You have a 3rd down back. You have a guy that plays in 1st and 2nd down. You put this guy in. He runs, his package. If his package is going good, maybe he goes out the next drive. Maybe you want to change the tempo, go no huddle with Russ. Okay, Russ goes, the flexibility is yours. You create the package that's normal for you and really hard for everybody else.
I think it's brilliant.
I don't know why you can't do it with the skill sets that they have. They both want to play. They both offer real value, and they've both been successful in different ways.
The one thing I'll give you, I don't think it's ideal, but what I will give you is neither guy's in position where he could complain.
They've both been.
They're both kind of at their wits' end, right?
Humbled.
Yeah.
And they both want the opportunity to prove their worth. Why not take advantage of the skill sets?
Okay, I'm sold on that. We can do that with Jacoby Brissett and Drake May while we're at it.
Different package.
We've got 4 quarterbacks on the Patriots. Goodness, I like it. Brocky coming in at number 28, right near Debo. All right. Came in at 30. Here's a look at the QBs revealed in the top 50. Purdy, Love, Tua, Burrow.
Wow.
Stafford, then Goff was at 48. Then we had some breaking news out of 49ers camp from Cam Inman. He writes for the Mercury News. 49ers practice saw Brock Purdy intercepted on 4 of his final 5 passes. Some contested, some not. Bruce, so a little bit of sweet, a little bit of sour there for you. How are you dealing with this news about Brock Purdy?
Whoa, boy, let's pull it in. Let's rein it in, Brock. Let's rein it in. I was just in the Ozarks. There was horseback riding out there.
Okay.
Is that how you did it?
Yeah, I was struggling. But look, is this a huge deal? I don't know, but the coincidence is bad. The day after you talk about, I want to dominate, like I'm going to let loose. Then you throw 3 interceptions yesterday, 4 interceptions today. It may not be anything at all, but it's just strange. Now,
4 of the last 5 throws.
well, he was hot initially, right? 7, made his first 7 completions. I don't know if there's a couple touchdowns in there, but then ended poorly. As far as the ranking, I mean, if you're a Brock Purdy fan, you got to be overjoyed. Like, because I could argue the quarterbacks who aren't listed yet, Mahomes, Allen, Stroud, Lamar, Hurts, and Dak. So if they're all in the top 20, which I imagine they will be, that means Purdy was the 7th ranked quarterback. So that, I mean, you could argue could he be ahead of Hurts or maybe Dak? But then there's guys behind him. You definitely Burrow's ahead of him. You could put Stafford and you know what I mean? So I think if he's in that 6 to 13 range that kind of fluctuates year to year, you got to be happy for him, assuming the interceptions don't continue.
Right. Get your take on this practice. We've been reporting on practices now more than ever. What was your take on Purdy's interceptions?
Yeah, look, I don't love that the guy got intercepted 4 out of 5 passes. I don't know whether it was in a team drill. I don't know whether it was in a 7-on-7 drill. Was it a blitz drill where the defense was bringing heat? If they are trying some new concepts out offensively, are they telling him to push the ball to certain spots? Do they want him to work on certain weaknesses? Maybe they want him to work on comebacks. Maybe they want. Well, there could be a lot of reasons that lead to 4 interceptions and 5 passes. To say that it's just terrible decision after terrible decision, maybe. And if that is the case, okay, great. Love that it happened in training camp and not during the regular season. Don't mind if it happens in the preseason, as long as it's not something that carries over. But oftentimes, if you go out and practice and you just work on what you're good at, then you're never going to get any better. You want to press guys to work on stuff that they're not as good at, because that's your only opportunity to improve. So hopefully, from that perspective, they were working on some things and some throws and some routes or some combinations that he hasn't been as good at as they want him to be. And sometimes it's not going to look the best. That doesn't mean you don't keep working on it. This is the time to do all those things.
How unusual is this? I mean, have you seen this happen several times and it's really not a big deal?
Yeah, I mean, look, with some of the quarterbacks that I've had, I've seen that happen in real life situations, unfortunately. I've seen it happen against the air. So, yeah, is it normal for a guy to throw 4 picks out of 5 passes? Not necessarily. It's just hard to really evaluate it without a little bit more context of what they were trying to achieve and what type of drill it was.
Okay. All right, I'm going to say not a big deal at all.
Really?
Well, when is he supposed to work? When is he supposed to work on stuff?
If they're doing what Coach said, then I agree it's not a big deal.
Well, he's played in a lot of games, and we've never seen anything like that. So when it's counted, he hasn't produced like that. And maybe not rein it in right now. Maybe now it's time to let the horses run to see how fast they can actually run.
To just stay within the system.
It's all part of the learning process.
I think he wants. Here's the other question I had, and it's a little bit of the conversation we had yesterday. He has seen the quarterback world get divided into the haves and the have-nots. Let's talk about like my guy, Mac Jones. Mac Jones, like, hey man, you're not the guy. You're going to be stuck on your rookie salary, backing up Trevor Lawrence while Trevor Lawrence signs a deal for $200 some odd million. So if I'm Brock Purdy and I'm like, hold on, the whole world thinks I'm just a product of Kyle Shanahan's system and that maybe they're going to have to reset the market and I'm going to have to go looking for a job and I might be on the outside looking in of a $200 million contract while I'm basically getting paid $900,000 for this year, the biggest bargain in all of sports and brought you to the Super Bowl. I'm going to have to go a little bit out for Brock Purdy and try to prove that I can do more than just whatever's in the system because it's worth $200 million to me. Do you think that's at all in the mix of his mindset? Because that's what I would be.
I don't think that's the main thing driving him, the money component of it. I do think that they've had a tremendous amount of success. He hasn't been given a lot of credit for the success that they've had. I don't know if organizationally they understand whether or not he's truly the franchise quarterback or not. And it's the only way that he can ever get to that point is for him to go show that he can win games based off of him. And I thought he took a lot of steps towards that last year, and he battled in the Super Bowl. He got him to the Super Bowl. He got him deep in the playoffs. He's overachieved by every single possible metric. So when you talk about the haves and the have-nots, he has overachieved, and as long as he keeps on the trajectory that he's on, he doesn't have to take this like gigantic leap. He's just got to keep showing that he can win and that he can respond in big moments.
Okay. Let's move on to Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, back from an illness that kept him away from camp for a few days. Yesterday, he met with the media and reiterated a draft day promise of bringing a Super Bowl to the Ravens. Take a listen.
That's been the first checkbox for me since 2018. You know, I said that April 26th, whenever I was drafted, I said that, you know, and I meant that. But, you know, this the highest level of this game, you know, we play. So you got to go out a champion. That's what I want to be labeled as, a champion, you know, not just MVP here and there. Like, I want to be a champion.
Bruce, should Kansas City be worried about Baltimore?
I mean, to the degree that they worry about teams, we know how great they are. But, yeah, like I think they should be right there at the top of the list of concerns for Kansas City. Cincinnati, obviously, Burrow has played really well and beaten Kansas City. But they this Baltimore has the Bengals number. Lamar is 8-2 against Cincinnati, 4-1 against Burrow. Houston's going to be tough, but we saw Baltimore handle Houston in the playoffs, I think 34-10 in the playoffs last year. So, yeah, and you look at last year's game in the AFC Championship, they lost 17-10 when they had 8 penalties for almost 100 yards. They had 2 unnecessary roughness, 2 roughing the passer, and a taunting. So you have 5 like kind of unnecessary. Maybe you go one of those, right? 1 roughing the passer is okay. We get it. And they still, and then a fumble in the end zone with Zay Flowers, and still only lost by a touchdown, and of course lost their identity, stopped running the ball. So now I don't think they can lose their identity with Derrick Henry. If he's healthy, should they get in the playoffs and meet the Chiefs, they're going to run the football. So yeah, I think they're dangerous for Kansas City this year.
Yeah, they're absolutely dangerous. Whenever you've got a guy that's won 2 MVP awards, that's a dangerous team. And he's shown that every year and every time he plays, when he's been healthy, they're going to win a ton of games and they're going to be in the mix. And I know his playoff record hasn't been what he's wanted it to be. And you talked about last year, that moving away from their identity like they did, hopefully a lot of people learn from that, because he wasn't the only one in control of that process. There were other people that made those decisions as well. And those mistakes, those self-inflicted wounds, those things, they're completely under the control of the Ravens. So to add a player like Derrick Henry, and again, the line's in flux, but when you've got such a threat from both the quarterback and the running back and a gigantic fullback, and the ability to control games and physically overtake teams, it's a problem. It's a problem because you can also control time of possession. And as long as you do that, the weapons that Kansas City have, they sit on the bench.
So week 1, Ravens are going to be at Arrowhead. We know that they lost their identity and decided to throw the ball 21 straight times at one point. Knowing that, do you think the Chiefs go in and be like, we know you guys want to run the ball, because the whole organization and Lamar took a lot of criticism for getting away from it. Do you just dare them to throw the ball? Do you line up something like, no, we're going to make you throw the ball even more?
Well, one of the problems that you have with Lamar Jackson is you have to dare him to throw the ball all the time because he's such a threat with his feet. And you've got to play a ton of 8-man boxes to deal with the quarterback-driven runs, by whether Derrick Henry's there or not. You have to do that, or else he's gonna create problems. And it would be really interesting to see if they line up in the box and say, we dare you to throw the ball, and Baltimore says, not only are we going to run it, you know we're going to run it, and we're still going to do it really effectively. To me, that sends a extreme message, not just to Kansas City, but to everybody else. Put 8 in the box. It's not going to be good enough. Let's see what you do now.
And look, I got to give the Chiefs credit last year, because early on they did stop the run. Like, I mean, I think Baltimore should have stuck with it, but Kansas City's defense was tough right away. And I think that has something to do with Baltimore going away from it too. So, Kansas City was able to play with them physically last year.
We're 20 some odd days away from predictions week.
20 some odd days.
You were on the record last year as being the Ravens guy. You had purple Jordans. You would often put your feet on the desk, talk about eating sandwiches. Which way are you leaning, even though we're all beloved in Kansas City, especially with week 1?
The fans in Kansas City, because we go there a lot, they want me to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
They really do. They're always telling
wonderful.
me, you need to
Look,
start
I'm
picking
there,
us.
and it's
Don't
fantastic.
do it, Brew. Don't do it. Don't be pressured.
I at some point, I got to think Lamar's going to get a ring. And like I said, they could have won that game last year as poorly as they played, as many self-inflicted wounds as they administered to themselves. So I'm kind of leaning Baltimore, and then the NFC. I mean, Purdy's giving me pause.
No,
right
you don't
now.
have to pick the NFC. You don't have to
I'm
pick
leaning,
the NFC.
but
You can't have pause off of a practice in July.
You're
I
off of
hope
Purdy?
not, Coach. No, I'm not off of him. But I just want I want tomorrow's tweets to be like he threw 4 touchdowns. And how about no picks?
So the Jets are having a bad day, and Brew's like, that's good. They're getting the kinks out.
Well, they just
He's working.
argued. The Jets just
Purdy
argued.
throws some picks, and you're like, ooh.
I'm
might have
not
to-
off, bro.
I might have to sell that stock.
still, but
I might take the Ravens.
Are you trying to take the Ravens from me?
Someone has to take the
You're
Ravens.
not going to take the Chiefs?
If you take the Chiefs, the whole show cannot be for the Chiefs. I got to
Well,
keep it interesting.
I don't think I'm taking
I've already been kicked out of Chiefs Kingdom, and I was welcomed back in. It could happen again. I have sort of a love-love relationship with Kansas City.
Neither are you taking the Texans? Is that
You're
too-
taking the Texans?
Well, I mean, both of you thought that Stroud was going to be the MVP.
No, I mean,
I'm going to take
So
the
if he's the MVP,
Texans, what?
I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Texans isn't bad. Texans
well,
isn't bad.
if C.J. Stroud ends up being the MVP, the Texans are
I
probably
think
a
Mahomes
pretty
definitely
good
going to
team.
be the MVP.
We're all taking
I think
the
he's
Chiefs.
going to be. No, I
apologize. We're going to have, it's going to be,
I'm not necessarily.
we're going to try our
I will
hardest.
not be taking the Chiefs. I will go on record as
Set for a while. Here's Jacoby Brissett.
You want the job. You want to be the starter.
Oh, for sure. I don't think like 2 things can be true. Like I could be perfect for the situation, but also I'm the perfect guy to start too. Like don't take that away from it either. You know what I mean? Like I fully expect myself to be the starter.
Okay, so do I, Coach. Do you think that's a hot take?
that Jacoby Brissett is the starter.
Yes.
He seems like a really nice guy.
Yes, he is.
But he's been 18-30 as a starter. And so, yeah, could he be the starter? He's probably going to be the starter because you've got a rookie quarterback and you've got the problems related to a rookie quarterback, and Jacoby has a lot of experience. I'm sure he's great just judging by that and things that I've heard about him. He's got a great locker room presence.
Yeah.
Guys like him. Yeah, he could definitely be the starter. But when he started, he's been 18-30. And
Well, they're going to be bad, the Patriots. I don't care who you start. Tom Brady's not walking through that door.
Okay.
Wiles. He's not. All right, so I think Brissett starts because, and this is, people have said this before, but if you start Brissett and then eventually go to May, that's
Sure.
fine. If you start May and he's terrible, which could happen as a rookie.
Yes.
And then you bench him and go to Brissett. Now, I mean, it doesn't mean you can't, May's still there for several years, but it's just a bad situation. It wrecks his confidence and all of that. So, yeah, I think, and I also think, Coach, I think ideally for most of these rookie quarterbacks, they would get to sit like
totally
a year.
agree.
And I get it, Alex Smith is better than Brissett. That's who Mahomes sat behind. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, and Brett Favre, Rodgers sat behind Favre. Love sat behind Rodgers. They're way better than Jacoby Brissett. But there is something to learning, sitting and learning. I think we do a lot of these young quarterbacks a disservice by throwing them right into the fire. I get the financial situation, less capitalized on the rookie scale, but I think a lot of guys would be better if they had the chance to sit a year.
And when you look at New England, so they've got a rookie head coach. They've gone through a massive organizational overhaul. Their best defensive player wants, a new contract. And when you talk about Drake May, do we have that video available just to take a look at how Drake May's doing in camp, just to see?
Is this good?
So, I mean, I don't know.
Video
I don't know if
referring
we're going
to.
to think it's good. I don't.
This better
if
be
you
good. Hubs, what do you
think
got? I don't like being surprised.
Bad.
I can't wait.
At times in North Carolina, people compared him to Justin Herbert. I said, I could see that at North Carolina. People compared him to Josh Allen. I could see that at North Carolina. Today in Foxborough, you know who I saw?
Oh, no.
The ghost of Mac Jones.
No.
Not just Mac Jones, facing off against Tom Brady as a rookie. We're talking about Mac Jones in Dallas.
How did he do against
I
Dallas?
remember how he did in Dallas, Coach.
39 quarterback. Now that's Michael Holley, who's been around the Patriots
Yes.
for 20 plus years.
Good friend.
Wrote Patriot Reign, was in our meetings. He's seen a little bit. He's seen a few quarterbacks. He's seen a few quarterback competitions. So yeah, Jacoby Brissett probably going to be the starter.
That wasn't a good.
Sorry.
I'm okay. Here's the other thing that came out. Greg Bedard on Drake May from NBC Sports Boston. I think if you gave the Patriots front office and coaches truth serum, they're surprised he's so far behind Jacoby at this point. Should I be worried about that?
Wow.
No, I don't think that's surprising.
Okay, good.
You know, it didn't strike me as a situation where he was going to come in and challenge for the starting position. And, look, hopefully I'm wrong about him, but I felt like he probably maybe should have been drafted a little later than he was.
Oh, come on.
Maybe should have been drafted a little bit later than he was, but, we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Week 12. Week 12, I'm okay with that.
Why not? So
12?
what if he sat the whole season? Would you have a problem with that?
I just don't like sitting the whole season. we're not-
Mahomes sat the whole season. I mean, he played one game.
Week 12. I mean, if the season's over at week 12, I'd rather just
It will be.
get some reps.
I get that.
We'll have 5 wins, though, guaranteed. Take it to the bank. 5 wins.
Are you putting a bet on that?
Yeah, it's called the Drive for 5.
Okay.
Once we hit 5 wins, we're going to do everything we'd had for. Go on YouTube and watch when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. That's what will happen on this show when we hit 5 wins. We'll have the
That's a
popper
lot of
things.
confetti.
A lot of our confetti budget this year is going to be a lot because we're already planning on the Chiefs 3-peat. So yeah, we'll have the band. Good call, Rick. Coming up next is the Bake Show.